This week in Israel, where I reside, we are up to Parshat Behaalotecha. If you're not in Israel, you're up to Parshat Naso. And later, if you want, you can check out one of my videos on YouTube for Naso. But I urge you to stay with me and hear through our message for Behaalotecha because I think it's one that's very pertinent for us to hear most people today. And it talks about when the Jewish people were in the desert and there's this, it's called in the pasuk, the ha safsuf, and it's a bunch of troublemakers. They gathered people and started trouble. And what they did was they convinced the people that they needed meat. They want meat. They have a taiva. It says they had a desire for meat, and the people really, as we know, had everything. All their needs were taken care of. Everything was taken care of, and God had given them man to eat. And it's interesting because they complain. I'll read you what it says in English. The rabble that was among them cultivated a craving, and the children of Israel also wept once more, and said, who will feed us meat? We remember the fish we ate in Egypt free of charge, and the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now our life is parched. There is nothing. We have nothing to anticipate but the man. And then it goes on to tell us about the man. Now, so many things wrong with that statement. First of all, when they had fish for free in Egypt. I don't know, you know, what the situation was, but they were slave people, and the Nile did produce a lot of fish. Um, but could anyone really compare getting fish free from the Nile when you're a slave, as opposed to having not only the manna from heaven that God provided for them, but also the fact that they said that they had no meat wasn't true. We're told that they left with abundant cattle. They had plenty of meat if they wanted to eat. To eat. Um, it wasn't as abundant as when God had heard them and was furious. And he said to Moshe, I'm going to um, send so much meat that they're not even going to know what to do with it. It says, the quail, when it blew in, was one day's journey this way, one day's journey that way. There was way more than they could ever make use of. So they didn't have that kind of abundance, but they had enough to eat should they have a craving. Like they said, they had a craving. Um, and yet they complained. Now, I want to just take a look at how these events unfolded because I think that's where we fall prey so much to difficulties in our life, mostly mental anguish. And that is when we're living in a modern democratic society and there is abundance. If you live in America, I lived in America, the good part of my life had everything I needed. I didn't want for anything. Roof over my head, plenty of food, nothing needed. And here in Israel, catching up very fast, I must say, to America with what we have available. It's not to be believed. If you don't live here, and you can come here and see, I'm amazed every day. And we have more than we need. But the problem is, we still complain, just like the people in the desert complained. And why do we do that? We do it just like the most innocent people. There was a few core rabble rousers that started this issue and convinced the people, and then it took off. Because what happens is sometimes when you have all your needs taken care of, and you have the free time as they had in the desert, they had what to eat, they had clothes on their back, they were provided for everything. They had the time and the inclination to find problems, which is what people do nowadays. And if you live in America, or you live here, or anywhere that I know of, that in this world, you're told by the media, you're told by, of course, advertisers, people to sell things, they're trying to sell things, that you need more. You need more and more and more, and what you have is never good enough. You need the newest, the best, the I don't know, whatever it is, something you don't have, you need to buy or you need to get. Your life is not sufficient. And no matter how intelligent we are, and I'm talking to, I know, a bunch of intelligent people, we fall for it. We see that whatever it is and we want it because we don't have it and that looks good. And I'm sure that's how the people who are starting up convinced them, started talking about it and how the meat was so delicious and they don't have it. And well, they said, focused on the man, how it's plain and boring. They're like, we have nothing, we have absolutely nothing, just this man to eat. And it wasn't even true. It just wasn't even true. But that's what happens. And I think it's really important for us to focus on what we have and to be happy and to be grateful because there'll always be more that you don't have. Nobody could possibly have everything. Only God has everything. And that's what happened. I mean, God ended up punishing them because they asked for the meat and God provided more meat than they could ever want. And so why would God punish them? It says that the meat that they were eating was still in between their teeth when God just struck them down. But why would God answer um, their, their desires? It wasn't even a prayer. I can't even say that. Answer their complaint and give them what they want if He's just going to strike them down. It doesn't seem to make sense. But I think that really God was giving them a chance when they saw the abundance to maybe act accordingly. Take what you want, take what you need, be appreciative. Wow, look at the miracle God did for us. Say some sort of praise and gratitude to God. Take what you need, eat, bench, say an after blessing. But that's not what they did. If you read in the pasuk, it says when it rained down this quail, they went out. It says all day, all night, all the next day. They gathered more than they could possibly eat. We're told, and then as soon as they couldn't do that anymore, they shechted it and ate it, and there's stuff in their faces with no recognition even for the miracle that was just performed for them. You don't see any of that. No gratitude. It's just more, 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 more. And it was a disgusting display. And I have to say, I think that we see so much of that. I can't say I'm not guilty of that myself sometimes, getting taken away by the good and forgetting to appreciate where the good comes from. I think it not only is incumbent upon us as a decent human being to do that, but it also helps us have like inner peace and happiness and to be happy within the moment. Look what I have, what a blessing this is. Thank you, God, and focus on what there is, not on what there isn't. I think we all need to do that for our own peace of mind. And with that, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.